Hi, my name's Tara Lamb. I am the architect and project manager from Lamb Architects, who are responsible for the refurbishment project here at Shelbourne. The initial vision for the refurbishment of the stadium was in improving its functionality, visibility and sustainability, while ensuring that we preserve the links to the heritage of greyhound racing. The design was really all about Ireland, Irish traditions and greyhound racing. So it was about using Irish landscape, Irish craftsmanship and the rich racing history to inform elements of the design throughout. So it was just about blending modern technologies with tradition. That was the whole design intent. Shelbourne Park has a rich history, as we know, dating back to 1927. So the heritage of greyhound racing had a massive impact on all of the design choices throughout. And I think the creation of the Shelbourne Park Museum is a testament to how important it is to preserve that history and show it off to the general public. Quite a long process because we actually won the tender back in 2020, and it's been quite an involved process because obviously there's a lot of stakeholders here in the GRI, between the board and the executive team, the EHS team, the tote team, etc., and everyone has their own priorities. So we had to go through a initial analysis of how the whole stadium works, from where it was and where it wanted to be. The idea was to try and make it a 7-day-a-week operation where we could look at opportunities. So that's why we've got the introduction of the cafe, the lounge, the sports bar, and then eventually the museum. So the whole thing was done through a large comprehensive analysis, but with a lot of back and forth with this is what we're thinking, this is what we're looking at. There was a costing done at different areas, and then eventually we've come to where we are now, and yeah, I think it's the right decision. The biggest challenges that we faced during the project were all around the fact that this is an existing building that had to maintain operations during the project itself. So really it was all around things that we weren't going to know until it was opened up. So during the demolition stages, discovery that was found then, and then also maintaining operations throughout. So that came with its own hurdles that we had to navigate through, all while trying to transform this into an engaging final project. Well, one of the biggest parts of the refurbishment was actually improving the sustainability of the stadium itself. So in order to do that, we put a big emphasis on mechanical and electrical systems that were implemented throughout the ground floor. As well as that, we've got several bespoke joinery items across the floor. These are for tote, and they're to make the space multifunctional, so it can be used as a sports bar whenever they're folded away, but also they can open up and enable the safe transaction of money, while also ensuring that we can effectively spread the tote stations across the floor on a night. Fundamentally, I hope that it creates a more engaging and accessible space for the racing community themselves, but also that in doing this and making it a hub for the community as well as a 7-day-a-week facility, it gives it longevity into the future. Well, this project actually really stands out because it's a real opportunity to take the rich history of greyhound racing and blend it with all the modern elements, and it meant that we could create something truly special. Probably the Shelbourne Park Museum, particularly because it honours the legacy of greyhound racing, and it's a particularly meaningful and exciting part of the project. We realised that Shelbourne Park was actually quite uninviting. It lacked some warmth to visitors coming to the stadium. So the first thing that we did was we took away the entrance gates and instead introduced shutters. One of the other key significant things then was that we put in a sort of more pedestrianised area with the upgrades to the paving. Now that means that the whole space feels more welcoming to guests that are coming into Shelbourne Park. I think one of the key things that was important to us was to introduce colour throughout, but we wanted to keep it consistent. So we worked with one mural artist to develop a design that was going to work in the different areas. So there's different zones that these murals then highlight and create different feeling, but then there's a consistency because it's the same artist throughout. That was one of the key design elements. Throughout the whole design, one of the key elements is lighting. There's an external lighting plan that brings visitors into the stadium, highlights entrances, and also highlights the stadium itself, whereas inside, the lighting follows the directional paths as you walk through the spaces, and it creates zones such as in the lounge or in the cafe where it needs to be brighter, it needs to be more cozy. That was the whole concept behind the lighting. One of the biggest issues that we face whenever we come into Shelbourne Park is the lack of wayfinding, the lack of understanding where you are, where you're supposed to go. So the signage was one of the key elements in the design. So making sure that you know what spaces that you're in, also finding entrances clearly, and that sort of thing. But then as an architect and interior designer, my main interest is creating a cohesive design throughout, but making sure each space stands out in its own. So we made sure that we had a consistent material palette, consistent colours, and that's really what is the thread that laces between each space as you go through it.